Apostasy, the falling away in the last times, Part 6, 3 John 1, 1-4. Key verse. I wrote to the church, but Diotrephes, who loves to have the first place among them, does not receive us. Verses 1-4.
The elder, to the beloved Gaius, whom I love in truth. Beloved, I pray that you may prosper in all things and be in health, just as your soul prospers. For I rejoiced greatly when brethren came and testified of the truth that is in you, just as you walk in the truth. I have no greater joy than to hear that my children walk in truth.
How this applies to us today. John wrote this letter to Gaius, whom he loved in truth. He rejoiced greatly when brethren came and testified of the truth that was in Gaius, and that he walked in truth. John said that he had no greater joy than to hear that his children walk in truth. In the modern world, there are few that walk in truth. Most wear masks to make them appear to be something they are not. It is a big relief when we do walk in truth. The masks that people wear get heavy. Continuing with verses 5-8.
Beloved, you do faithfully whatever you do for the brethren and for strangers, who have borne witness of your love before the church. If you send them forward on their journey in a manner worthy of God, you will do well, because they went forth for his name's sake, taking nothing from the Gentiles. We therefore ought to receive such, that we may become fellow workers for the truth.
How this applies to us today. In this passage, John encouraged them to receive the brothers whom he had sent to them. He also encourages them to send the brothers on their way in a worthy manner. John says, they went forth for his name's sake, and that they had received nothing from the Gentiles. He tells them that by receiving these brothers, they themselves become fellow workers for the truth. This is something that is very much needed today, that is, fellow workers for the truth. Most religious people today want to feel like they have done their part by attending a service once a week and paying a professional clergyman to do the rest. Continuing with verses 9-10.
I wrote to the church, but Diotrephes, who loves to have the preeminence among them, does not receive us.
Therefore, if I come, I will call to mind his deeds which he does, prating against us with malicious words, and not content with that, he himself does not receive the brethren, and forbids those who wish to, putting them out of the church.
How this applies to us today. In this passage, John exposes Diotrephes as one who loved to have the preeminence or first place. He said that Diotrephes would not accept him, but we know that John was an apostle of Jesus. John said that Diotrephes had spoken evil of him, meaning John, and that he had not received the brothers that John had sent. Diotrephes went even further by putting the brothers who did accept John out of the church. Today, in the modern churches, there are a multitude of men who desire to have preeminence or first place. Continuing with verses 11-12.
Beloved, do not imitate what is evil, but what is good. He who does good is of God, but he who does evil has not seen God. Demetrius is a good testimony from all, and from the truth itself. And we also bear witness, and you know that our testimony is true.
How this applies to us today. In this passage, John tells us how we are to live. He says that we are not to imitate evil, but what is good. John goes on to say that he who does evil has not seen God. He says that Demetrius has a good testimony from all and from the truth itself. It is impossible to miss the way that people imitate evil today. We must imitate what is good. Then we will be able to see God. Continuing with verses 13 through 14.
I had many things to write, but I do not wish to write to you with pen and ink. But I hope to see you shortly, and we shall speak face to face. Peace to you. Our friends greet you. Greet the friends by name.
How this applies to us today. As he did in his first letter, John closes this letter the same way. He says again that he has many things to write, but he wants to come to them and speak face to face. It is wonderful when people are personal and truly loving and affectionate. Our world is in frantic search of this kind of love, but cannot find it outside of the Lord and His church. Apostasy, the falling away in the last times. The next part of this study is 2 Thessalonians 2, 1 through 17. Let no one deceive you. The coming of the Lord will not come unless the falling away comes first.